Go ahead.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Waldner.
Here.
Commissioner Thill.
Here.
Commissioner Corbett.
Here.
And Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Saying no appearances or acknowledgements, is there anything anyone wants to remove from the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under old business, ordinance number 1603, second reading, appropriations for 2019. Jen, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
I don't. We went through this. Last week I joined you via teleconference. We discussed the revisions to ordinance number 1603, a few changes that had been made since its first reading on September 10th. All documents that feed into this ordinance are posted out at the website. I have had no feedback. So unless anyone has any questions, I won't elaborate any further. We will, as always, continue to constantly monitor cash balances. If there's anything that can or can't happen between now and 2019, we'll evaluate it on an ongoing basis.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 1603, second reading, appropriations for 2019.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business number 5:30 p.m. Hearing upon the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer of retail on-off malt beverage license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant. And Ernesto, this is where anyone who wants to speak for or against it would do that. And then our next step in that is going to be a motion to approve. Okay? And so is there anything that you'd like to add to the commission or tell the commission, anything particular? Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to new business. Approve the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer of retail on-off sale, malt beverage license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant. Questions, comments? Mike?
Nope, nothing,
Everything
you know,
good?
everything's from the public safety side of it, everything looks good. So with that, I'll make a motion, we approve application for sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer retail on-off sale, malt beverage license, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant Incorporated, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant to El Pino LLC, El Vaquero Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
Good work.
That was
Hey,
a lot of
we-
reading.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good. And then Jen explained to you in that, you know, the next steps in that will be to sign it, send it in, and we'll go from there.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Best of luck
Thank
to you.
Yeah.
Yep, best of luck, keep.
Okay, number 2, bid number 877, review specifications and set bid date for utility building renovation. And I'm going to ask Brad if he wants to address this one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We selected Design Arc out of Brookings to do the plans and specifications. I have them on file at the electric department and have them available for anybody that wants to review them. We'd like to move forward with the proposed bid date of October 23rd at 2 p.m. And this would be for the renovation of approximately 2,500 square feet of office space in the front of the building towards Highland.
Bid date of November 8th.
The pre-bid.
Pre-bid meeting, excuse me, I missed, I got on the wrong one there, yeah, you're right. November 8th, excuse me, I should remember
Not
that.
October 23rd.
Not October, that's the pre-bid date, excuse me,
Okay.
my bad. It caught, the bold print caught my eye, and I
Sure.
went there,
Sure.
so, yep.
Okay, so questions or comments?
This is for office space.
Yes,
Could we maybe add on to the Public Works building in the southeast corner there? And would that be big enough for office space for what you want?
Southwest corner.
Or
Southeast.
southeast corner,
Southeast
excuse me,
corner.
southeast corner.
I guess I haven't looked at it as far as if there'd be enough room. The current one would be, it's about 50 by 50, and that would put us pretty much out into the parking lot, I'm imagining, just, off the top of my head without going out and measuring anything or whatever. That's approximately what we have in this new building. I don't know that we'd be able to make that fit. I haven't looked at it.
Why do you want to do that?
Well, I just figured that he would be with his water department and stuff right there.
What offices do you plan on putting in this?
The current plan is to have, the water and sewer collection distribution, which is Jan Tiemann. Of course, the electric, which is, Tess Nelson, Jerry Seitz, myself, and then also for the water and sewer would be Roxy Edbrup. And then we also wanted to bring Gary Gagnon over because Roxy works for both sides of the house. And so since he's the public works side of things, that's what the plan was, and works with Roxy quite a bit.
So moving a few of them from there over to that one, so
It'd be putting everybody in the
Yeah.
in the newer building.
kind of what we had talked about a long time ago, so good idea.
The tough part was trying to get it, we talked about a lot of different options, but Roxy was serving two different deals, and she said, I really don't want to have to go in two different buildings and go in and out and all that other stuff. So that's kind of what was the, if you will, the deciding factor of where everything went.
It's a waste of time and lack of efficiencies if she has to duck between buildings, even though they are close.
I just figured moving two people over would be much easier than taking Jan and Roxy and Gary Gagnon over. You would still be all in the same area.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, from a cost perspective, it would be more expensive, starting with nothing. Here we'll have a shell that we'll start with. It's still going to be expensive, don't get me wrong, because we had to tear out what's in there and basically redo everything on the inside. And because we'll be cutting in new doors and windows and taking old doors and windows and everything out, we'll have to re-tin the outside of it. So we're going to have the steel frame, the concrete floor, and the insulation, some of that stuff's all going to be in there. But it would certainly be more expensive to do a new building than what we're going to be doing.
Other questions or comments?
Corbin, anything else you want to?
No. I think Brad did a pretty good job of covering points I wanted brought out.
Well, and I've gone over these things with Brad, and it makes sense in the long term, and that to have all of the people in that from the Public Works and that all in one building, because they work together on a lot of projects.
Exactly.
And so it makes the most sense right now to do it and do it right and have everybody in the same building, because that'll be the best benefit for the citizens down the road. It'll be much more conducive to discussing, the projects coming up, projects that need to be repaired, because it takes more than one department to accomplish a lot of these things. And so it just makes the most sense in that when we're in there, we have to renovate the building because there's a lot of things that aren't up to code now compared to what was built back then. It just makes sense to go ahead, do it correct at this point in time, and then have all of the departments all in the one building, and then juxtaposition to the other facilities that are there for the employees. So I just think it's the best move, and for the long term for the city, this here will serve the city well for the next 50 or more years.
And the deal about the water department, the plan is obviously not this year because we're going to try to get everybody moved in once into the new building. Then The following year would be to follow on to the middle building and renovate that so the water department could occupy that. Then that'll give the existing water department building to the streets, and streets can use that because they need more space. And so that was kind of the jockeying around of the pieces when we were talking with Gary what he needed, because Gary wants more room. They were talking about building a building. He said, well, if I can get that and can take over that whole thing, I won't need to build a building, and I can use my money to renovate that building, put a concrete floor in it, insulate it, do what I need to do to that one. The water department can come over to the other side of the fence and move into that, what they call the oil building right now, that middle building, and occupy that, and it's going to more than double their space, almost triple their space, and they can get some of their stuff that's down at the treatment plant out of there and move it. So, I mean, it fixes a lot of problems for a lot of people in the long run, but it'll be 2020 before we can do the improvements there, because we're not going to have enough money to do it all out of cash one time, so we'll have to do it over multiple years. But that'll be next year's project, will be to renovate the water area and get that all done. And in that process, because of what was there in the oil containment area, we've already done some of the renovation work in conjunction with East River. There was a 4-foot retaining wall basically all the way around there to hold the oil in. And so looking at it, they were going to cut a couple doors and different things and cut a part of it out and try to bring the tanks over the top. And we got to looking at it and said, gosh, why don't we just cut a hole in it and make a door going out the north end? You can roll the tanks right out, and then we can turn this into a wash bay, because we got 4-foot concrete walls all the way up, and it was like just the light came on. That was the right thing to do. So we worked with East River and Amert Construction and got that done. And so the new door there is a specific door just for wash bays, and the motor to open it's a specific door just for a wash bay to do the high humidity and all that stuff. There is a big exhaust fan already in that space, so it was pretty well set up for what we wanted to do in the future, because right now we don't have any place to wash the trucks. We can wash small stuff, and we can take some of the bigger stuff over to the shop, but you're in the mechanic shop, there's no walls or anything, and you're those spray and the mud's getting all over everywhere. It's just not a good situation for that space, and it takes up a lot of space while you're waiting for it to dry in the wintertime. So this way we'll have a new space where we can put it. It's 34 feet 8 inches long, and our longest truck in the electric department's about 33 feet, so we got just about enough room to get it in there and wash it in the middle of the winter. We won't be able to walk around it very easily. Might have to crawl through the cab or over the top of it to do it, but it's just big enough to get our stuff in and wash it up, so we don't have to do it out on the outside, on the outside, and then we can't do it in the wintertime. So.
And that worked out really well, because the majority of the facility was already there, and it was in the process of trying to take the tanks out that the idea of putting the door in was the thing to do. And so the door was cut out, the tanks were taken out, and then the city paid for the new door to go in place of the hole that was cut in the wall.
Yeah, it worked out really well with East River. So it's been great working with East River. They've been great to work with. Anything we need to do, anything that would help both of us out, they've been real great. So hats off to them for being a great partner.
Absolutely.
It's a good time to make those modifications to that building too, while it's going to be vacant, while they're moved out, so we'll have minimal disruption to our employees while they're doing their jobs. And then when it's time for us to move into that building, it'll be ready to go.
So,
With that, I'll make a motion. Go. Go
I
ahead.
don't want to interrupt a good motion.
No.
I just something the mayor said, and you've talked about this, Bob, too, is just the ability to collaborate more, to work together more between the departments. I think this is going to be a great opportunity with the tighter system happening. I think we have some great opportunities here just to start bringing our services closer and closer together all the time. So with that, I'll go back to Mr. Motion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. You were kind of segueing right into it anyway. Make a motion to approve bid number 877, review specifications, set a bid date for November 8th at 2 p.m. for utility building renovation.
Second.
Marshall.
What kind of budget do we have on this renovation? Do we know?
Well, one of the things in that we've been doing is saving money to build a new building. And so instead of having to do that, some of those monies in that will be used for this project. So monies that were set aside for this will now be utilized for this because the main structure is already there. So instead of building a new facility and that will be renovating this facility.
And what-
So in terms of dollars and cents,
We had 320 in the budget.
350.
350?
350 split
350,000.
between water,
Right.
electric, sewer for renovation. We've got 72,000 split between water, electric, sewer
For
for
the-
office equipment and furniture.
And some of the office equipment and furniture, what that deals with primarily is the two things. One is the security system upgrades, because we're changing the configuration of the building. One of the things that we wanted to do in today's day and age is we wanted to have a secure entrance, and so the idea is to have a buzzer door basically to get in to the building where the people are working, and have the ability to lock down the system so nobody can get in. Even with a badge, you're locked out, so that we can keep people safe inside the building should somebody want to do harm. We don't think that's ever going to happen, but there's a lot of places that didn't think anything was ever going to happen, and they've had some catastrophic issues there. So that was part of it. And then just, the changing things around, all the, trying to get the computers to talk to each other and have a display system where you can try to do that. We haven't quite necessarily pulled the trigger on that because it is fairly expensive. We're looking at alternatives. But we'd like to have the ability to have a collaborative space where we can go and sit and talk and pull up information from about anybody's computer and have it displayed on the wall, so we can talk to either a customer or amongst ourselves when we're working on projects and that stuff. Because right now in our current office space, the way it works out, if you've ever been down to the power plant, is it's one office with 4 people in it. And there's a door that you can kind of divide it up, but it's basically, and it's not a very big office on either one of them. And so we're very open, and we talk a lot, and we get together a lot and hash things out and go through it. So more than one mind makes a better decision than one person making autocratic decisions and sending them out and saying this is what we're going to do. So we do a lot of discussions, do a lot of things, and it's not necessarily what I'd call groupthink, but it's open season as far as ideas, and we do a lot of that. We don't want to lose that capability. So in this building, we wanted to have that spot, but then we get out away from everybody's desks and you're in another spot. You don't have anything to show, so we wanted to have that ability. So we're looking at that, but right now, some of that cost was a little bit higher than what we wanted, and we're trying to figure out a way to get that without having to spend too much money. But we'd like to set us up for the future so we can have that ability.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I was just curious.
No, very good. No, very good.
We spent $850,000 on a building that I thought when we first talked about it, it was ready to go. And now we're spending $325,000. We're over $1 million.
Well, we got 3
Just-
buildings and
Yeah,
5
but we ended
acres.
up with 5 acres
5
and
acres.
3 buildings in place of 1 building. And the spec building out that the LEIC has, that's over $900,000 with a gravel floor. So if you look at just 1 building, we'd be spending the same amount of money. But in addition, we got 5 acres and 2 additional buildings. Right next to the 4 acres that the Public Works currently has. So it gives the city a 9-acre complex, and that, with all of the departments and that right there in one location. It also gives us a secure facility, which we don't have now, for the storage of a lot of the, wiring and transformers that we currently have to store outside. It also comes with storage pads with containment drainage, basically, and that if there's ever one of our transformers that spills. So we gained in a significant amount with this building. So I do agree. It sounds like we're spending a lot of money, but we got a lot more for our dollar than we would have starting new.
And I agree with you, but like I said, when
Yes.
we went to purchase this building,
Right.
nothing was said about upgrading, consolidating these departments together, which is a great idea, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But
It's one of those
Well-
things that we didn't know necessarily at that point in
Mr.
time.
Mayor, can I jump in?
Certainly.
And I know the motion and the second is done, but
Yeah, but-
we're
and we
we're
can
still
have
in
discussion.
discussion. But, and I'm not gonna speak for my other commissioners, but I know that when I voted to purchase the building, I knew we had to do reconstruction. I knew we had to do remodeling.
But
So-
that was never brought up to the public. No.
I don't know if it
I
was.
was at the meeting, Mike, I'm sorry.
No,
I was at the meeting.
I'm telling you, I don't know if it was openly, or discussed
It wasn't
during
something,
that, but.
it wasn't something that was known at that point in time as to what we would have to do. We just knew that going into it, we were gonna be dollars ahead for what we were getting for the dollars we
And
were
I agree
paying.
with you. It's just a
Yeah.
surprise. I mean, I've heard from a lot of people that
Okay.
we spent $850,000 on a building and now we have to put $325,000 into it
Uh,
which,
Just give you an example in that, to replace this building and the other two buildings, East River spent $3.5 million and put it on their own property. So they didn't have to buy additional property when they did that. But it kind of gives you an idea, of they were upgrading theirs to meet, the current needs that are out there. We are definitely stepping out of the 1930s and getting into the 2000s with where we are. And we have gotten considerably more than what we're paying for.
and I agree with you.
Thank you.
Just
Brad?
wanted to
A couple things come to bear on this a little bit. One of them was that originally when we were looking at it, it was just the electric department was going to go there. It wasn't until after January 1 that the change was made to consolidate the utilities and bring them under my leadership. And so that was a change after the fact, which changed a little bit of the scope of the building. So that was part of it. And the other thing is that we were going to have to do something anyway, because if it's a public facility, you have to have ADA accessible bathrooms. And there was no way to do that in the current configuration, so we were going to have to do something with the bathrooms no matter what. And so we had looked at it, we're trying to figure out the minimalist plan of what was there, but then when we made the change to consolidate the utilities, then it became a much bigger project and we had to do substantial renovation. So that's part of what happened, was there was a change in that. We knew we were going to have to do some work. It wasn't going to be major at the time when we purchased it, but then when we made the change to consolidated utility, then that changed everything.
But again, that's what I'm saying. You guys knew you had to make some changes, and it wasn't. I was at the meeting, no one
Yep.
ever said we had
It wasn't.
to change. That's all I'm saying.
Fine, that's true, we did not say that.
Yes.
But
But
it's
it
like
was-
anything else.
It was things we didn't know at that point in time either.
Brad just said you knew that you had to upgrade the ADA.
They were minor
We knew.
I
changes.
We knew,
understand
yes.
that. Again, I just
Again,
want
yes.
to make sure everybody's on the same page in the public that we bought this for $850,000. There may be some upgrades. That's all that would have been said. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
I don't know if we realized we wouldn't have to build that public works building. That saved us $150,000.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Marshall?
I understand that.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Jen, do we have any public comment listed out
No,
there?
Mayor.
Okay, without, no announcements, no executive session, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hey, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor.
So this